to the Awesomeness Transmission Center of Utah. Please note that this program is not recommended for the faint-hearted or ignorant. Enter at your own risk and buckle up.
Hey there, and welcome to the show. My name is Beatmaster Jason Darklyte. That's a stage name, of course, but please just call me Jason. And this is the Awesomeness Transmission Center of Utah, which is a branch derivative from the now no longer original Awesomeness Transmission Center show from Michigan, which incidentally is the state home to Aperture Laboratories from the Portal video game, according to the lore of a fan-made game. Yeah, I'm a bit of a geek. The original hosts are geeks as well. We're all just one big community of geeks with one thing in common. We all want more out of our music, stuff that goes above and beyond the mainstream of pop and EDM and classic rock, so we look under the radar of such, sailing across a vast indie sea until we find stray floating gems, or maybe even a luscious island where we can live out our lives. I'm talking about the modern universe of good music, and that's what this show is all about. I'm here to cut short your time foraging in that ocean, and I'm also here because in Utah, that ocean is a desert. Hope I didn't bore you with that monologue, because I'm going to play our first song right now. Try not to feel overwhelmed during the first few tracks, because I'm going to be covering a pretty wide spectrum of genres, often within tracks themselves. Anyway, let's go over to a very rad artist called Sunset Neon with the track Got You.
I'm gonna get you, baby. Oh, I'm gonna get you, baby. I'm gonna get you, baby.
And that was Sunset Neon with the track Got You off the upcoming debut album Starlight. And that's a super rad track. I've lately been really digging these modern sounds of the 80s in today's crazy electronic and rock world. Now, don't get me wrong, this show is absolutely going to be multi-genre, if I haven't made that clear already. We'll definitely go a little heavier later on, maybe throw in a little metal, because I'm also a bit into that. But for now, let's stay on the 80s electro train and play a little something from a guy called PYLOT. I know, I'm perfectly aware that he's Monster Cat, but he's still a very cool artist, one among quite a few Monster Cat artists that I dig enough to want to listen to a second time. Anyway, this next track is from his EP Shadowtask, so this is Shadowtask by PYLOT.
Rays of light, we're moving through the night. With destiny in our sights, we've got to fight. Through all the rain, we're masking all our pain to take what still remains of our lives. We've justified our sin, and we're gonna take you on a ride till we find answers within. Location not here, in shadows we all disappear. Hold on, switch gears, we're gone as fast as we appeared.
And that was Shadowtask by PYLOT. That is a piece of futuristic cyberpunk radness right there for you. And speaking of cyberpunk, let's now get into probably my favorite artist of all time. Ever since 2011, he's been constantly pumping out music that really defines what it means to be indie, to truly have the freedom to make whatever you want and learn everything as you go. This is a one-man project called Aviators. One-man project, to be clear, not to be confused with that British band called the Aviators, or that broken-up New Zealandish pseudo-funk band called the Aviators, although I've heard the work of those guys, and they're pretty good for what they claim to be, I guess. Who knows, I might play them on the show. But not now. This is the one-man Aviators, who's consistently gotten better as a self-taught musician and producer with each new release. And his latest main album, Dystopian Fiction, brings a cyberpunkish sound of the future like nothing anyone else has tried. And a real quick piece of info about the show, the original hosts like to mention the track number when playing from an album. I'm not going to be doing that, just for the sake of simplicity and all that. Anyway, this track is from Aviators' album Dystopian Fiction, and this is Bleeding Sun.
That's inside me, said it makes me strong. In the door lies the stairway to heaven, where the gods have gone. Told they need a guardian, a sentinel of blood. I was given hope again, behind the rising flood. So how can I embrace the power of flesh in this machine? I'll infect the system behind the scenes. Humanity's darkest hour, I will not run. I can save the soul still under this bleeding sun. Streets in the darkness, citizens of dust. In the homes of the slaves I abandoned, lies a chance for us. Metal parts in connection to evil, my virtual crown. I am part of the mind that destroyed us, just to shut it down. So how can I embrace the power of flesh in this machine? I'll infect the system behind the scenes. Humanity's darkest hour, I will not run. I can save the soul still under this bleeding sun. Of absolution, I will set the stage for sons of the revolution. I will lead the way. More than a human, army of one, God of the wasteland, the bleeding sun. So how can I embrace the power of flesh in this machine? I'll infect the system behind the scenes. Humanity's darkest hour, I will not run. I can save the soul still under this bleeding sun. More than a human, army of one.
that was Aviators with the song Bleeding Sun. And that's a pretty cool track for its dystopian message and all that. He's been really getting into that dark retro future sort of vibe, and that's not a bad thing because I think there's hardly enough of that to go around. But anyway, let's slow things down here for just a minute and play a little something from a relatively highly popular artist among the indie scene, the one and only Celldweller, a product of the vast imagination of quadruple threat man with a plan, Clayton. That means he owns and does music under 4 different artist monikers, including Celldweller. The other 3 I'll definitely get to later on, maybe in another show. But for now, I just want to touch on his latest Celldweller album, Offworld, which is a temporary departure from the usual Celldweller style, which is much heavier, more aggressive, electro-metal, but obviously, I want to ease y'all into this, give you a little more of the picture of what this show is all about. And if you are here for the heavier stuff, don't worry, that's just around the corner. For now, let's play this short track from Offworld. This is How Little I Must Know by Celldweller.
I've been here many times before, standing here with broken hands, knocking on this broken door. I can't decide which way to go, and this is just another time I prove to you how little I must know. How little I must know. Here I am back at the start, standing here with empty words flowing from an empty heart. I'm letting down and letting go. Just like every other time, I prove to you how little I must know. How little I must know. How little I must know. Letting down and letting go. How little I must know. Little I must know.
And that was Celldweller with the track How Little I Must Know. That's a neat little piece of introspectiveness right there. Okay, now, are you ready for this? I just want to make sure that you listen to the little blurb at the beginning of the show. This stuff is not for everyone, although anyone can certainly tune in. I'm just trying to imagine a stereotypical simple person listening to this show, just wondering how they might react to all this. Alrighty then. This next track is from one of Clayton's proteges and artists on his indie label Fixed. And yes, that sounds hypocritical. I don't care. It doesn't affect the quality of the music in any way. Anyway, this is a track by Blue Stolly from his album The Devil. This song features the bass player from the metal band Sick Puppies, Emma Anzai. This is Not Over Till We Say So by Blue Stolly.
the path we knew. We'll scream through the wires. You'll never stop me, stop me. I'll bring it on me, with me. It's never over, and it's not over till we say so.
And that was Blue Stolly with the track Not Over Till We Say So, featuring a little bass and vocal work from Emma Anzai of Sick Puppies. They definitely said when it was over. Alright, we're gonna keep that energy going for a little bit and play one of my favorites from another, probably former fixed artist at this point. Voicians is German. And this is off of the EP he released on Fixed, Voicians Part 1. This is Alive by Voicians.
Like you, I fear to breathe when I lose the ground beneath. This is wrong. I fear the force. I wish I was without remorse. I can feel alive, alive. Till I'm dead inside. I to be alive. Inside my lungs, there's no more air to
And that was Alive by Voicians. That's a pretty good example of what the fixed roster is all about. Just the epitome of modern radness at its finest. Pretty much the prime center if you're looking for something else. Something just wildly different. And speaking of wildly different, this next track is gonna keep the energy up in a definitely weirder sort of way. Going into a little bit of industrial here, this genre brings a lot of interesting things to the table. This is a track from Clayton, made under 2 of his 4 projects, Scandroid and Circle of Dust. Genre-wise, those 2 are certainly wildly different, but they have come together to make this song here. This is Probots and Robophobes by Scandroid and Circle of Dust. And that was Probots and Robophobes by Scandroid and Circle of Dust. And I guess that wasn't really the best way to introduce either of those two, but I think it was a pretty good way of killing two birds with one stone while keeping the energy up in here. Woo! Alright, let's tone it down just a little bit, but we're still on the weird train right now. Let's give you some French progressive electro-metal. This is a fixed artist called The Algorithm, who, as far as I know, has tread down the same path as Voicians. Just a hit and run sort of thing, I'm not sure. Maybe he'll come back. Anyway, from his fixed album Brute Force, this is Userspace by The Algorithm. And that was, man, these sudden stops, am I right? That was the Algorithm with the track Userspace. That's still some pretty heavy stuff, despite my attempt to tone it down a little bit. Alrighty, now, I'll admit I'm a little hesitant to play this next track, but I want y'all to know that this is a judge-free zone, and I'm just playing stuff that sounds cool. So, even though I personally have a keenish sense of quality, occasionally there will pop up an artist whose composition of content tends to outweigh the production quality, even by a smidge, if you've any understanding of what I'm trying to say. So, I take Aviators, for example. Obviously, he's not fixed or Monster Cat quality, but his voice, his sonic visionary, and of course his lyrical messages, which are quite deep and pretty powerful if you really think about it. Yeah, but anyway, this is an artist that was discovered basically through the Aviators fan base. This is a guy called Techno, and with a title like that, I shouldn't need to elaborate on what he does. This is a track from his album Blue Shift, so this is Back Then by Techno.
This is your last chance, gotta take a stand. Fight for what you love, fight for what you love. Like you're in a trance, let it all go. Show them what you're made of. This is your last chance, gotta take a stand. This is not the end, this is not the end. Take your fighting stand, spread your wings and do it all again, do it all again. Like you did back then. Take it. Keep it all inside, keep it to yourself. It's impossible, it's impossible. Spend your last days falling in line, waiting for a miracle. Now you'll rise up with the rest of us, fighting for our cause, fighting for our cause.
was Techno Cinema with the track Back Then. And despite that generic electronic vibe, one can almost hear a cinematic undertone of sorts, as suggested by his name. That's the thing about Aviators as well. He just can't help doing stuff that really sounds like it belongs in a movie. Man, I'm telling y'all so much about Aviators, and yet you've only heard one song of his up to this point. Well, that's changing right now. Let's now actually slow things down a little bit here and go into his album Ghosts in the Code. Here's a little something that I believe is his first ever 80s retrowave song he's made. So, this is Red by Aviators.
Grayscale reality in this world we've built on our own. It's unclear to me what we are still trying to be. If I could bring back the peace we had, would the wars come with it too? The black lines are holding me. The black lines are holding me. So let's stop living in black and white. One streak of color could change your life. We have the shades of blue and tint, and hues of green for passing years. White lies put hatred in our heads, so we will show them love instead. We'll paint the whole world red. We'll paint the whole world red. In my veins, counting down my days. I won't paint them grey with pain. Let's paint our hearts red again. If we can settle the scores between the good and evil sides, I'll take a step, one more deep breath. I can move past the fear of death, where nothing can hold me anymore. So let's stop living in black and white. One streak of color could change your life. We have the shades of blue and tint, and hues of green for passing years. White lies put hatred in our heads, so we will show them love instead. We'll paint the whole world red. We'll paint the whole world red. living in black and white. One streak of color could change a life. We have the shades of blue and tears, and hues of green for passing years. White lights put hatred in our heads, so we will show them love instead. We'll paint the whole world red. We'll paint the whole world red.
Was Aviators with the song Red. I love that one so much. It's probably my favorite of his of all time. And it looks like we've pretty much come full circle as we played a little bit of this stuff at the beginning of the show. So that means it's time to wrap things up here. And I'll go ahead and end this on a track, but before I do, I just want to thank all of you for joining me on this crazy sonic roller coaster. And a huge thanks to the show Beyond Synth for really inspiring me to do this. Go give that show a listen and you'll understand what influenced the whole style of the show. Although I'm obviously not over-compressing the music like they do there. Also, I would have loved to make this an hour and a half like the original show, but for now, we'll just call it a show right here. So this was fun. I hope you found it fun as well. And if you didn't, I guess I'll either talk less or chat with somebody, likely the original hosts, maybe some other people, who knows. I'm just testing this out to see if it's really gonna work, gonna entertain y'all in the same way that the original has. Hopefully it will. So with that, consider things wrapped up here. If you want to be the first to know whenever a new episode is out, follow me on Twitter at JasonDarklyte, or on Tumblr at JasonDarklyte-327. That's DARKLYTE, Darklyte. And if you want to go back and listen to the artists played on the show at your own time, links will be in the description of the SoundCloud page and the private YouTube video. So with that, I bid you all adieu, sayonara, and the original hosts like to say farewell and hail Denmark. I don't want to do that. That's my Scottish. I don't want to do that, unless my Viking ancestor Paul Eriksson was Danish. Farewell, and stay rad. And now, here's the track Afterglow by Scandroid.
earth.